Welcome back to Nortman Reviews, everyone. I'm John Norton, your host. And what have we got here? We've got Transformers, the animated movie in comic book form. This is a 20th anniversary special edition, so what year did that come out? Can't remember. 20 years after the movie, obviously. So, Transformers, the movie, the animated movie, is the best Transformers movie out there, theatrically released or otherwise. Am I right? You can say what you want about the Michael Bay movies. The original animated is far superior. The first Michael Bay Transformers, I do enjoy. Second one, meh. Third one, double meh. Fourth one, oh my god. The fifth one, unwatchable. Bumblebee was good. The new Beast Wars version, even though it was very not Beast Wars, that was fun. But anyways, the original animated movie was something that me and my brother Rob and our other brother D, we just fucking loved. We were so into Transformers. I would venture to think we got into comic books because my brother, we're all into Transformers. They started collecting Transformer comic books, which led into some X-Men comic books, which then led into more and more comics as we got along. So without Transformers, would I be an artist that I am today drawing comics? Don't know. But I'm going to look at these issues, and I may separate them into two separate videos. I haven't looked at these since they came out. I don't remember being blown away by them, but I definitely was going to pick them up. So this is going to be the first time that I'm going to be looking at them since I originally bought them. I'm assuming, from what I remember, the story stayed the same as the original movie, so I don't need to. Sorry, I'm readjusting my table. I don't feel the need to flip through it preemptively and look at anything because I already know what the story is about because I've watched that movie a million times. So, what do we got on here? I mean, this is around the time when Transformers comic books were coming out. They released a bunch with Pat Lee drawing the issues, and I remember how that came about. I think Pat Lee, he had made a name for himself on some other comic books, had a very manga anime style, which for American comics wasn't that, which wasn't as prevalent. But he kind of came around and he was drawing some stuff. People liked his art. And then I think he did some sketches or some drawings of Transformers. People were like, oh my God, that looks amazing that he draws Transformers. Who drew this? Where are the fucking credits? Part 1, The Gather. Oh, right in there. Don Figueroa. Yeah, I remember he did some other Transformers comic books, and he was pretty good as well. But anyways, the Transformer comic books were very popular. They were okay for me. There were some inconsistencies at times. So they decided to do the animated movie in comic form. So let's start looking at it. I mean, this is some badass shit, right? There's Ultra Magnus. I think this is kind of like is there a back to this? No, I mean, this is cover A, so there might have been some others. I think this was similar to the cover of the DVD, where it had Ultra Magnus on top, a bunch of the Autobots looking up. You got Springer, RC, Cup, Blur here in the section. There probably was another accompanying cover since this is cover A. Then you got Galvatron and Cyclonus and the Sweeps. Bit of history. This was around the time that I really remember watching Transformers. Since I was younger than my other brothers, they watched the Generation 1 with Optimus, and I was definitely aware of all of them. But I remember being most into them around this time when the new Transformers came around. I had the toys of Cyclonus and Blur. My brother Rob, he had big-ass, cool-ass Ultra Magnus. And then my brother D had a Scourge and Hot Rod, who's not on this cover. And then we got toys from there and blah, 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 blah. So, but this is my heyday of what Transformers are to me, from this movie and on. So let's look at it. So we got the prologue. In the movie, the the music was great, but you got Unicron coming down here, and you got this some random weird Transformer-esque, robotic-esque planet, and then things start rumbling, and like Arbalest, look, it's Unicron! It says the Planet Eater. They definitely did not say the Planet Eater. I can probably recite that fucking movie. Rob and I can recite this movie from memory. We could probably sit down and just like go through that whole movie, just the two of us, just talking, just showing a camera at us. That would be a fun video, right? Probably not. Ships, get to the ships, it's our only chance! So they're running because the fucking planet is being devoured. These guys know who Unicron is. We as viewers have no fucking idea what a Unicron is. You know, we know of Transformers and like, what's this fucking giant robotic planet thing coming towards this other technologically robotic planets? It's starting to eat that shit. So they're trying to like escape. And it says here, with a savage fury unequaled in all the known universe, the immense orb known as Unicron brings the planet's life to a blistering, brutal end. In the movie, one of these ships gets away, and one of them doesn't. It gets sucked back inside here. So, end of the prologue. So in the movie, then it cuts to the badass opening credits with like a rock version of the Transformers, more than meets the eye. So you're on a Cybertron. Now, again, I'm going to be talking a lot about my thoughts and memories of what these movies and shows were about. In the original movie, they had it narrated by some this voiceover narrator, you know, has kind of a gravelly voice, you know, and it was very cool and badass in the original movie, and in any version you buy today would be that same thing. We, for years, I know we saw it in the theater, I remember going to the theater to watch it, but we, for years, only had this recorded on VHS from the TV show, including commercials. And at the time, the format where they were showing Transformers, if anybody remembers this, it wasn't just showing the episodes. I don't know why they did this, but they had this little gimmick of like a live action sequence of beginning at every episode and sometimes in the middle during the commercials and then at the end of a young boy, and he's friends with Optimus Prime. And they had this big version of Optimus Prime. I can't remember if it was like puppeteering or close-ups of puppets and stuff like that. But they got, oh my God, I can't fucking remember the voice actor, Peter Cullen, to do the voice of this live-action Optimus Prime to introduce the episode. He's basically telling stories to this little kid. Like, the kid will set up a premise, like have a question, and he's like, oh, I remember that story, and then it will play the episode. The kid asked, God, what did the kid ask? I can't remember if he asked about Optimus Prime dying at some point, or like the toughest Decepticon, or the toughest battle. And oh yeah, I think they asked the toughest battle. And again, it was Peter Cullen's voice. He's like, that would have to be Unicron. And then it goes into the movie, right? And it had Peter Cullen do the exact same narration, but it was Peter Cullen's voice in the version that we had. Now, I don't know if you can find that version anywhere else in the entire fucking world unless someone has it recorded, and I'm pretty sure we lost our recording. That was a huge side note. My apologies. But I remember Peter Cullen and Optimus Prime talking about it was the year 2005. The treacherous Decepticons have conquered our home planet of Cybertron. But from secret staging grounds on two of Cybertron's moons, and it says here, the valiant Autobots prepare, and that's what the narrator said. But Peter Cullen, when he was narrating it, he said, we Autobots prepare to retake our homeland. I'm gonna, since I know the show so much, I'm probably gonna do impersonations of the movie as best I can. I apologize if it's like, why is he doing this? He sounds like shitty, but it's gonna be funny. It's like, every time I look into a monitor, Prime, my circuits sizzle. When are we gonna start busting Deceptichops? And then Optimus Prime, I want you to make a special run to Autobot City on Earth. We don't have enough Energon cubes. And in the movie, Ironhide's like, but Prime, listen, Ironhide, we don't have enough Energon cubes to power a full-scale assault. Ready the shuttle for launch. And then in the movie, it doesn't have it here. I like how it talks about what Energon is down here. Energon is the Transformers' primary source of fuel. Autobot City manufactures Energon for the Autobots. And Ironhide's like, your days are numbered now, Decepticreeps. And then he transforms and fucks off to go on the shuttle. And then Jazz, report security status. No signs of Decepticons here, Prime. What about Moonbase 2? Jazz to Moonbase 2. Jazz to Moonbase 2. So he's calling they're on these moon bases around Cybertron because the Decepticons have taken over the home planet of Cybertron. So you had Jazz, and I think it was Cliffjumper with Jazz. They don't show him here. But you got Spike and Bumblebee. Bumblebee and Spike here. We're about to send up the shuttle. Any Decepticon shenanigans in your area? All clear, Jazz. That's Ironhide saying it there. But it was Jazz asking. Yeah. Jazz had asked these guys. And then then they brought up Ironhide, and this is Spike, now a full-grown adult as opposed to the kid. Now, is this supposed to be the Shia LaBeouf version? Because his name was Spike in the cartoon, but his name was also Sam. Wiki, this is supposed to be him, right? This is Spike. This is Shia LaBeouf. But now he's an adult here. He's telling Ironhide, tell my son Daniel I miss him, and tell him not to worry. Come home as soon as we kick Megatron's tail across this galaxy. And we'll do, Spike. Cliffjumper, commence come down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They blast off. Now all we need is a little Energon and a lot of luck. But what you don't, it doesn't quite show it here, but does it show it in this panel? I guess that's something back there. But they were being spied on by Laserbeak. So Laserbeak flies off the moon base, and he goes to Cybertron. I was going to call it Energon. Laserbeak returns, Megatron. Here's Shockwave. Welcome, Laserbeak. Unlike some of my other warriors, you never fail me. That was a dig at fucking Starscream. Like, you suck, Starscream. Soundwave, play back Laserbeak's findings. As you command, Megatron. Frank Weller did his voice. Transforms, gets in there and replays what the Autobots' plans are. And it replays it's like, now all we need is a little Energon and a lot of luck. But now the Decepticons are onto them. More than you imagine, Optimus Prime. He says there. He doesn't laugh. But very dramatic music. The ship is going along calmly, but then, out of nowhere, I don't know how they got on the ship suddenly, but the Decepticons boarded and they were like tearing through the ship. And Megatron, Decepticons! And Megatron's, die, Autobot! Now, in the fucking movie, those of you who know that this was a product of the 80s, and it had a fucking killer soundtrack, which you can listen to probably on iTunes, probably anywhere. You can look it on YouTube. I don't know. It had some fucking awesome, like, heavy hair metal music. And an awesome piece of music came up called Instruments of Destruction. And like Megatron transforms and lands in Starscream's hands. He starts blowing away the Autobots. Now this is just one page and done. In the movie, this was fucked up. Like, he takes out Huffer here first. He was the first one. He's like, Megatron, Decepticons! And he was the first one charging. He says, die, Autobots, and he shoots Huffer, in the shoulder, but he falls down. And these other guys, like, what the fuck? And they shoot, I don't remember his name. Sideswipe? I can't remember this guy's name. They shot him next, and he started smoke coming out of his eyes and mouth. Like, he was fucking dead. And then Ironhide and, oh my god, what is the medic's name? The guy in the white. He was in the movie, like the live action movies. They turned around, they started shooting. God, I can't remember his name, but the guy, the ambulance guy, the medic, he started blasting double barrel, boom, 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 just laying waste to like not laying waste, but just valiant effort. But Decepticons, they just start shooting, and Starscream, holding Megatron as a gun, boom, 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 shoots them fucking down dead. And then they take over the shuttle. There's only 4 guys on here or so. 4, yeah. And Megatron's like, this was almost too easy, Starscream. And he's like, much easier, oh mighty Megatron, than attacking the real threat, the Autobots' moon base. And Megatron's like, you're an idiot, Starscream. When we slip by their early warning systems in their own shuttle and destroy Autobot City, the Autobots will be vanquished forever. Now, in the fucking movie, they cut it out here, which sucks. But he says they're going to basically sneak in on the Autobot shuttle to Autobot City, and they're going to vanquish the Autobots, like, from within. Ironhide's still kicking. He's like crawling over and grabs hold of like Megatron's leg. Again, this is in the movie. And he's like, no! And Megatron looks down at him, and he has this fucking huge arm cannon, right? And it's pointed down right at him. And he looks down at Ironhide and he says, such heroic nonsense. And he just blasts him, and you don't see it, but he just fucking point blank with that huge gun right down at Ironhide. Ironhide is dead. Sideswipe, I guess, is dead. Huffer is dead, and this guy, I forget his name. So 4 Autobots that we have known and loved are dead. Like, just like that from this movie. And we're like, probably in the theater, like, what the fuck? I don't remember the first time I saw this movie. I remember going, but I don't remember a lot of my thoughts at the beginning, but that was fucked up. So, now we're on Earth, and we got this new Autobot, and this is Hot Rod. And he's out there fishing with Spike's son, Daniel. And again, it doesn't have it here, but in the movie, Daniel was all depressed. And he's like, what's the matter, Daniel? He's like, I don't know, I just miss my dad. He's like, don't worry, Spike will be back soon. And they're like, oh, hey, I caught something. He catches this fish. And he's like, oh, look at the size of it. And then, like, to Daniel, it's this huge fucking fish, right? But to, like, Hot Rod, it's, like, that big. It's like, yep, it's a whopper, all right. So then they get a notification the shuttle's coming. He's like, let's watch it land. He's like, talk about dull, Daniel. So again, they skip a lot of shit here. So Daniel jumps off on his hoverboard. And he, like, then the cool music starts up. And he goes, and Hot Rod is hoofing behind him. But Daniel kind of like is too careless, and his hoverboard hits some rocks, and he kind of like hits a bush and hits some rocks, and he's like tumbling over. He's gonna probably like crash and burn. But Hot Rod was right behind him, and he catches him, and he says it up here, but he did it while he was carrying him after he caught him. He's like, if you're gonna ride, Dano, ride in style. And he throws him up, transforms, and it's fucking badass looking Hot Rod. And then as he's coming, and again, the fucking music is going on in the movie, and it's just awesome 80s music. And he's going by, and there's Cup here. They don't really have a good introduction of him, but they're putting a barricade up for something. But Hot Rod just comes crashing through, and the music, dare to keep all your dreams alive. That's the music. So they go up to this little landing spot, and they go up to look through a binoculars, and Daniel notices it first. He's like, Hot Rod, look, there's a hole in the shuttle. He notices it first. In this Autobot shuttle, there's a hole. And he's like, what? Better take a closer look. He doesn't say that, but he puts on these this visor comes down over his eyes where he can like telescopically look closer. And he sees Decepticons. You see Starscream and whoever, like this Constructicons right there. And this is, I mean, say what you want about Hot Rod as a character, because he spoilers I won't get into, but a lot of people don't like him because of what he does with Optimus Prime, what happens to Optimus, and the new characters taking over. But I always loved Hot Rod as a character. And this was one of his moments that I loved. He's like, fucking Decepticons. He just starts shooting at him. And he shoots and shoots, and they're shooting back at him. In the movie, he shoots an even bigger hole into the shuttle to force the Decepticons to evacuate the shuttle and attack. So the Decepticons, because of Hot Rod, are having to attack and reveal their hand a little bit sooner than they want. So the Decepticons are flying, heading to the Autobot city. So here we have Perceptor, and he's one of the original ones, right? And he's in his microscope mode, but he also uses it so he can see clearly. And then here comes like a bunch of the newer ones. You got Blur, Ultra Magnus, Springer, and RC. Ultra Magnus is this big badass guy, as big as Optimus Prime, and he's in charge of Autobot City. And Perceptor, he always talks like a scientist, even though it's pointing at Blur right here. Blur talks fast, Perceptor talks in like science jargon. A cursory evaluation of Decepticon capability indicates a distinct technical deficiency. In other words, Perceptor. See, like the word balloon. Someone fucked up. Like it says, in other words, Perceptor, and it's pointing at Perceptor, but it was Springer who said that, and he says we're outnumbered. And in the movie, as he's saying that, one of like the not aerial bots, but the jet Decepticons, it was probably Starscream, comes swooping in, shooting at them, and Springer here has like this little gun that pops out of his wrist and he shoots back. And they all kind of go like dive into the side as like Starscream, whoever came shooting at them. They step up and Ultramax starts going into command mode. Springer, you and RC transform Autobot City. Perceptor, tell Blaster to radio Prime for reinforcements. And they doesn't have it here, but I'm going to say it. And then Blur comes up here. It's like, what about me, Magnus? Ha, ha, ha. What about me? What can I do? What about me? He's like, Blur, you can help me alert the others. Absolutely, positively. Nobody gets dropped faster than me. Nobody. I didn't do it word for word because he talks so fast, but that's basically what Blur said. And then Springer's like, come on, RC, let's go. But he's pulling her away. But she says, but Hot Rod and Cup are still outside this city. And he says, we can't wait. They'll have to take care of themselves. Come on. And now, okay. It's again skipping a whole beat, right? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go back here. They miss this whole beat because they say attack, and then Megatron, he starts aiming at Hot Rod, again, in the movie. And he's shooting down and blowing away with this huge cannon. And he blows this whole section of this cliff off. Like right here, it starts tumbling down. And Hot Rod picks up Daniel and he jumps off. Man, I'm going to fucking watch this movie. I'm getting excited just talking about it. And picks up Daniel and he's like, they're falling off the edge and Daniel's screaming. And Hot Rod lands. And a couple of Decepticons come landing down to take on Hot Rod. Again, all in the movie, right? And one of them was, one was an Insecticon, came swooping by, and one was called a Triple Changer. God, I don't remember his name. But he transforms into a fucking tank. And he says, come on down, Autobrat. And he turns into this fucking tank, and you see his sights pointing, locking in on Daniel and Hot Rod here. And this fucking cool music, this cool 80s music is going at this time, kind of in the background. But what you don't see is Cup here, the older guy. He comes out of nowhere. And the music hits. And it's like he comes jumping and transforms into his truck and heads right towards the Triple Changer Decepticon. And the music, dare to keep all your dreams alive. And he, so you got the tank, right, with its barrel pointed, and Cup comes jumping, and he swings around it and lands on top of the tank that the Decepticon had transformed into, and he grabs hold of the barrel and just yanks up. So at the very last second, as he's gonna blast away Hot Rod, he changes the direction of the blast, and so it misses, and it hits one of the Insecticons that had been flying around. The Insecticon comes down, crashes into the triple changer Decepticon, and they both go toppling over as Cup jumps off. Hot Rod comes like sliding down, and he says to Cup, "Not bad for an old timer." Cup says, "Old timer, that's something you'll never be if you don't get back to the city." And he's like, "Save it, Cup," as Starscream comes shooting down at them, and they say, "Let's burn rubber." So they both transform into their Hot Rod and truck mode, and they start going to the city. And in the background, you see the city being attacked. And that's where it picks up from here. Okay? So we missed a whole beat there, and I just put it in there for you. And that's what's going to happen with the rest of this fucking comic. This may be more than 2 fucking videos the rate I'm going. And I'm having so much fun getting into this story. So down here, Cup and Hot Rod are like trying to get into the city, but they're going to transform the city and potentially lock them out. But he's like, "We can't wait. They'll have to take care of themselves. Come on." So RC and Cup go down. They start fiddling with the mechanics to transform Autobot City. And it's the city it's not transforming from a city into like a figure like they do later in the shows, like with Metroplex and Fortress Maximus and Trypticon and all those things, but it start going into like a more secure mode. Like things are being covered up, and guns are popping out of places. As it's transforming, Starscream is shooting down. He's chasing down Cup and RC as like these two covers are like closing in, and he's like, "Pathetic fools! There's no escape!" But they do escape. And so he lands, and he sees these are going to like close in. So he transforms, and he looks. He's like, "Oh, the roof." He tells you right here, the roof is closing. So he blasts upward in his robotic mode, and he barely gets out, but the doors clamp on his foot, and he can't get out, and it's hurting. So he shoots down, and he's like, "Ow, my foot!" As it's like he's this smoking foot as he flies off. In the movie, it shows more of RC like hitting the controls, transforming Autobot City. The guns are coming out and everything, and a big cannon comes out ready to like start shooting. And then some of them escape inside a wall and a bridge, and Megatron yells to breach their defenses to the Insecticons. So the Insecticons land on this door, and they start eating away at it. And they're like, "Delicious, eh, shrapnel? A little heavy on the electrons." So Cup and Hot Rod come like barreling in, and they're like, the Insecticons are in our way. But Hot Rod says, "Wrong. They're our way in. They just fucking ate a hole through the door for us to get in." And as he says that, Hot Rod jumps, like leaps off, and just hits one of these Insecticons. Oh, come on. They skip so much cool shit. He hits one of the Insecticons and gets inside, and this one, he's hanging off the edge, and he's like pulling himself up, and he looks up, and here comes Cup in a truck mode, and as he like puts his head up over the edge here, Cup comes and just runs over and flattens this fucking Insecticon head, just flattens it into a pancake. And Cup jumps off the bridge and into the door that they had eaten through, and then couple of doors close and secure them. So Cup and Hot Rod made it into the city. They are totally fucking up with Cup. Like all the cool shit Cup does, they fucking are just skipping over it. So very frustrating. Meanwhile, you have Blaster, and he's up in this tower, and he's like, the tower rotates, and it has like a cannon on it, and it's shooting around. And he's having fun. Look out and shout, "Ow!" So Perceptor comes in, and he says, "Blaster, Ultra Magnus sends orders to contact Optimus Prime on Moon Base 1. And he says, "All right, cover your receptors, Perceptors." So he does some controls. He transforms into his boombox, and it like the seat he's in connects to him. And he starts sending out a signal. It says, Optimus Prime, do you read me? The Decepticons are blitzing Autobot City. We're really taking a pounding. Don't know how much longer we can hold out. So he's sending a transmission to Optimus Prime on Moonbase 1. But the Decepticons know what he's up to. You can see that's the tower that Blaster is in, right? And he says, Soundwave, jam that transmission. And he comes up, he says, Rumble, Frenzy, Ravage, Ratbat. Ratbat is a new one. But he says, Object, Operation Interference. So these 4 cassettes go flying through the air, they transform, they land on top of this tower, which is made of glass. And they say, they're looking at Perceptor and Blaster inside, and they say, first we crack this shell. And these guys, their arms transform into these pistons, these like, oh God. Whatever you use to like break in a door. My mind worked good now. But they transform into these things, they start pounding away on the glass, and they come crashing in. First we crack the shell, then we crack the nuts inside. So they're like, they're smaller, right? Probably like a fourth of the size, if even that. Fifth or even smaller, the size of a regular, but they're having a hard time. Oh God. Fuck you. Comic book, you're skipping so much. So Perceptor, like they're swarming over Perceptor. He says, run, Blaster, save yourself. And he says, no way, 2 can play. And he kicks away. He like does a roundhouse on Ravage, who's coming up on Blaster. And he says, sick him. And this is the first time that Blaster had these. Soundwave always had these cassette transformers that he would come out. But this is the first time Blaster had some. And he ejects 4 of them. They're these 2 little humanoid dudes. There's a rhino guy that's you kind of see down here, and a lion version. And so all the cassette transformers start fighting each other and saves Perceptor. And then it doesn't have it here, but it says Perceptor asks Blaster, do you think you got through to Prime? And Blaster responds, let's hope so, because if I didn't, we're all going to look like burnout toaster ovens. So then it transitions into more battles. The battle is going on for quite a long time. Just the Decepticons, it doesn't ever show quite how many there are, but they're just swarming the city. In the movie, Blur is like going from window to window, talking to himself really fast, shooting out. As the Decepticons are advancing on them. And as they're doing this, it transitions to RC and Springer here. And they're pulling in 2 of these other Autobots here. Again, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but these are old school Generation 1 Autobots and Transformers that you've known from the cartoon, and they are dead from the battle. You don't see them here or in the movie, but they're dead. And Springer here, he's telling RC, we got to get this launcher into place. Megatron's making his big push, and we got to push back. So they're trying to push this huge missile launcher into place, and it's too much for the 2 of them. But luckily, Cup and Hot Rod come in. Keep at it, Springer, my boy. Help is at hand. Together now. They say some bullshit here, but RC, the female, she talks to Hot Rod. She says, I was afraid you'd be trapped outside the city. Hey, I wasn't worried for a microsecond. She tells him, you probably didn't understand the situation. Now, in later interviews and behind the scenes or whatever, I think it was meant that RC and Hot Rod were supposed to have some kind of a romance or a love connection or something like that, or flirtation, which you can see in the movie. But as the show progressed, the romance, if you can even call it that, was between RC and Springer here. So, as they're getting that, they get the launcher in place. They show it more in the movie, and Daniel, the little kid, he was trying to help, but he climbs up a ladder, and he sees the Decepticons, and Megatron says, like, he tells the Constructicons merge for the kill, and he tells Cup, Hot Rod, look, and Cup comes looking up, and he says, Devastator, and the music, the score, it's not a rock music, going on, just like regular instrumental score going on, and ominous music as the Constructicons form into Devastator. Devastator was the most badass combiner transformer in the series. There was like 6 of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and 6. Scrapper, Bone Crusher, Scavenger, Mixmaster, Hook, and Long Haul. They form into Devastator. So now he, like this huge Megatron, Decepticon giant, is heading towards them. And he says, "Prepare for extermination." And there was this fucking cannon like rotating around, shooting down Decepticons right and left. It was a big, powerful weapon, but he walks up to it and crushes it and just destroys it. And then he starts banging into this wall, just knocking down their defenses. And Springer here, he's got a missile, and he says, "I got better things to do tonight than die." And he launches it, and it shoots at Devastator. And it hits him, but he's still fucking powerful, so he kind of shrugs it off. But he shoots more, and like the rest of the Decepticons kind of scatter. But Devastator, he tears off a chunk of this wall and throws it at this missile launcher. And all the Autobots here have to kind of scatter. And like, it's just another like beat in the story. And it transitions into like the scene right here, basically, of the Autobot city, as it's just the battle's raging on, like laser beams and shots are being fired everywhere. And here it says day turns into night and then day again. So this went for quite some time. You didn't quite get that impression that it lasted that long in the movie. Their defenses are broken. Let the slaughter begin. And then he's like, Devastator is just tearing through the wall, right? But then, at that moment, they look up and there's another Autobot shuttle coming down. And this is almost an exact scene, angle and everything. And you got Prime here, and he was with somebody else, but they're the fucking Dinobots. And Prime here, he's like, "Dinobots, destroy Devastator." And that was during a time where like all the heroes and the leaders, Cyclops, Captain America, everybody in comics, they were like, "Hey, we don't kill." Optimus Prime is like, "Fucking destroy him. Get him out of there." Me, Grimlock, love challenge. So the Dinobots come like swooping they jump out of this like little hatch in the bottom of the shuttle, and they come down, and it has some awesome things of them not floating, but gliding down, and they transform. Dinobots transform! You got all 5 of them here. You see them transforming right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in the movie, they were missing the Stegosaur one. I forget their names. That's Swoop. That's Dinobot. Then there was Sludge, Snarl. I don't know their names. But Devastator looks up as the Dinobots are coming down. Dinobots are fucking powerful. And Devastator, he kicks Grimlock right in the fucking gut as he comes down. And then this guy, Brontosaurus one, he's a big one. He lands and he's about to chomp down on him, but again, it doesn't show it here in the comic, but in the movie, Devastator hits him in the back as he was about to like bite his leg and picks him up over his head. And this is a big dinosaur, and he throws that Dinobot away. This one, the Triceratops, took that opportunity, comes charging in and like rams him into the wall. And then he kind of like moves off, and the fucking pterodactyl Swoop, he comes in, he ain't gonna do fucking much. He comes swooping in, but all Devastator does is kind of push into the wall more, causing debris to fall from above and land on Swoop here. And so that's a quick fight between Devastator and the Dinobots, Devastator getting the best of them. here comes like some of the most badass parts of the movie, and I guess of the comic book. Up, and here's Rusty. Hello, Rusty. Can you sit? Can you lay? We're right at the part with Optimus Prime. And he says here, they've landed. He says Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost. And he transforms. And right here in the fucking movie is that Stan Bush song, "You Got the Touch." And it was also done, that song was also in Boogie Nights. That was the song that Mark McGuire's character was singing when he wanted to have a music career. You got the touch. You got the power. Yeah. So Optimus Prime goes transforming. He comes barreling in. A badass moment of the Decepticons running away, and one turns. It's the red, I forget his name. The red jet Decepticon. And he turns and he sees his reflection in Prime's grill right here. And Prime just barrels over him, right? And then he starts mowing down, like just running over other Decepticons, and they start shooting at him, and it's just blasting off, like bouncing off of him, until finally there's enough force of their blasters or their guns that an explosion kind of happened, and he leaps into the air and transforms, and he does this kind of flip in the air, and he starts shooting the Decepticons from the air. This is just a badass, heroic moment of Optimus Prime. Probably some of the coolest stuff he's ever done in the cartoon or ever since. And he lands and just like, shoo, 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 just all the Decepticons that were running away, Prime just takes down by himself. And then he comes up behind Megatron. Prime! And this is a pretty iconic moment and a quote of his. Prime says, "One shall stand, one shall fall." Megatron replies, "Why throw away your life so recklessly?" He says, "That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron." And Megatron was about to blast him with his huge cannon. He says, "No, I'm going to crush you with my bare hands." And he tackles him. Now, it doesn't show it here, but at that moment, Hot Rod, who's around here, he's kind of away, and he sees that this fight is going on, and he says, "I've got to help Prime." And Cup, he says, "Stay away, lad, that's Prime's fight." And so Prime knocks him away. Megatron picks up this chunk of debris and throws it, and it lands right in his, Prime's gut. And they don't show it here too much, but Megatron blasts at him, and Prime dodges the blast, charges at Megatron, and punches him in the face, and knocks him back, and then takes that opportunity to take out this chunk from his stomach, but he's injured at this point, specifically in that spot. Megatron, from wherever, he grabs this, basically a lightsaber, ignites it, and comes swooping in, and in the same spot, hits Prime in the stomach. And Prime is holding on to, there's electricity coming out. He's I don't know what the term is, but he's not doing well. And Megatron leaps into the air in the movie, here. But Prime uppercuts him like he does there. I'm like, what does he do in the movie? It's showing me right here. Leaps into the air, Prime punches him, and Megatron falls back, and Prime comes jumping up, but he kicks up from the ground, but hits Prime in the process. So they're going back and forth, blow for blow. Prime is a badass, Megatron is a badass. Then they're struggling. He says, "I'll rip out your optics." But Prime overcomes him, picks him up, throws him. He says, "I don't think so," right here. Never said that fucking shit in the movie. And then Prime sees his gun, and he picks it up and he points it at Megatron. But Megatron sees a little blaster behind the rubble right here. And he says to himself, one last chance to snatch victory from defeat. But Megatron yells, like, no more Optimus Prime, grant me mercy, I beg of you. You, who are without mercy, now plead for it? I thought you were made of sterner stuff. So as he grabs the blaster, here comes Hot Rod. And he jumps on Megatron. He's like, no, you don't, Megatron. You know, as Prime had this blaster, he's like, out of the way, Hot Rod. And Megatron, using that little blaster, shoots Prime and again hits him in that section that he's been damaged. So this is going to end up being the end of Prime, his downfall. People are often pissed off at Hot Rod, like, you caused, like, his death. That's debatable. Would Prime have hit, like, if Hot Rod wasn't in the way, would Prime have got the drop on him or shot him in time, or would Megatron have been able to do what he did anyways? So he shoots Prime, and he does it several more times. He says, fall, fall, and he throws away Hot Rod because he's nothing compared to Megatron's strength. And Megatron goes up to him. In the cartoon, in the movie, they're both, like, cracked and beaten down and just both look like shit. And Megatron says, I would have waited an eternity for this. It's over, Prime. And Prime musters up all the strength he can. He looks up, and he just, with his arm, like, hands clasped together, just gives one last shot to Megatron, yelling, never! And Megatron goes falling over the edge, hits a couple, like, of these floors on the way down. Hey, Rusty. Hi. You're interrupting the most, like, one of the most crucial parts of the story. Okay? Fuck off. And Hot Rod runs, and Optimus collapses. Hot Rod runs over to him, his body, and he says, Optimus, forgive me. All these Decepticons come up to Megatron and fucking Starscream. How do you feel, mighty Megatron? And kicks him while he's down. And he yells for Astro Train, another one of the triple changers. Transform and get us out of here. And Megatron looks to Soundwave. Don't leave me, Soundwave. And Soundwave is loyal. So he picks up Megatron and one of his little cassette transformers, picks up his cannon there. And so, okay, Rusty, oh my gosh, just get out of here for 1 second. So Astro Train turns into this shuttle, and he's big enough, like the size of Transformers when they transform. It's fucking crazy. Like, Megatron's a huge robot, but he transforms into a gun able to fit into anybody's hand. Astro Train is just a regular fucking auto transformer, but he transforms into a shuttle able to have all the rest of the Decepticons board into him as he takes off. And they say the Decepticons are retreating. Prime did it. He turned the tide. So, like, the Decepticons leave. The day is won, more or less. But now we go and we see Optimus Prime laying on this bed. And, fuck. This is so stupid. This has Hot Rod saying, I fear the wounds are fatal, but it was Perceptor who was looking at him. You see the place where he got fucked up, right? Got thrown a chunk in there, got hit with a lightsaber, and got blasted in probably a few times. And they're like, Prime, you can't die. And he says to them, do not grieve. Soon I shall be one with the Matrix. So that's the end of the issue here. What do we got here? Transform Spotlight, Nightbeat. The name is Nightbeat. Solving mysteries is what I do. We're not going to get into any of this. Don't care. Transformers Beast Wars. There's some cool Beast Wars stuff there. That was a great show. Oh. Cover A. Anyways, so that's the end of that issue, and this is going to be the end of this episode because I was just going on. I was talking about more and more, and now we're like fucking almost 50 minutes in. So, I'm sorry if like this is like, why is he just like going over this and telling us what happened in the movie? I love the Transformers movie. Rob and I have no like we you know, we both love that movie so much. We've talked about watching that movie and doing a video on it, much like we did the Howard the Duck one on over on his channel. So this may be a movie that we do that same thing to, where we watch it together or comment on it. But I thought it'd be fun to look at the comics and see how they compare, and then just kind of, I don't know, my love for this movie just came out as I was doing this, and I got really excited. So I got 3 more issues, so there might be 3 more videos with this. Maybe I'll try to change it up so it's just not like 4 videos in a row of Transformers shit. But we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching. Thank you for humoring me, and check me out in the next episode.